Wilder versus Fury 3, no more excuses. Hello and welcome to Fit to Box channel. I'm Simon, former amateur boxer, current amateur boxing coach, and today I'm going to discuss the upcoming fight between Tyson, the Gypsy King Fury, and Deontay, the Bronze Bomber Wilder 3. Okay, so obviously there's been a lot of excuses that have been made following on from both the first and the second fights. And this fight now has finally arrived after a couple of delays, and we are in a position where we will be able to see who truly is the best out of these two guys. So I'm going to run through, like I did before with the AJ and Usyk fight, I'm going to run through the strengths and the weaknesses of both guys and then come up with what I think will happen in this weekend's coming fight. So firstly, before I start and dive into all of that, there's one thing that I really do think that should happen in this fight, and that is really stringent measures when it comes to the gloves. Okay, so we cannot be in a situation where we have Glovegate 1, Glovegate 2, and potentially Glovegate 3 following this fight. So I think this is exactly what needs to happen. The gloves, when they're picking the gloves and they're actually going through the gloves in the glove selection meeting, that all needs to be filmed. Okay, so at a later date, everything can be looked back at and they can see. The putting on of the wraps, the hand wraps, that needs to be filmed. And I don't mean just over the shoulder of sort of the fighter. I mean a camera specifically there from the commission or from sort of the promotion that is totally on what is happening with the hand wraps. Also, when the gloves are put on, that needs to be filmed as well. There also, in my opinion, needs to be a commissioner with a camera that keeps those gloves under his watch the whole time while he's in the dressing room and as they walk to the ring when they get to the ring. Again, needs to be filmed. Both boxers, not just Fury, both boxers. When they get in, stringent inspection of both of the gloves by the referee. Again, let's have a camera on that action. And at the end of the fight, when they take the gloves off and they take off the wraps, again, let's have it filmed. Let's have somebody who is filming what is going on. And so we can have none of this sort of conjecture, this excuses, sort of this ideas that are coming out from people about things being in the gloves, about padding not being in the gloves, and also about different hand positions that a hand is in a glove, which is, as you know from videos I've done before, in my opinion, absolutely ridiculous for people to think that. So let's move on to the fight. Tyson Fury, he is English guy, he's 32. We've got Deontay Wilder, the American, and he's 35. And I don't think that age is going to be a factor in this fight. Certainly, Deontay Wilder has looked after himself more than Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury has gone up and down in weight and has his problems with drugs and times when he's not been in the ring. The only thing I would say with Wilder, he's probably had more injuries and he's had operations to put those injuries right. So I don't think age will be a factor in this fight. The power, you've got to go with Deontay Wilder when it comes to the power. He's got a massive right hand. He's got that KO power. And like he says, he only needs 2 seconds to be perfect. The other guy needs to have 12 rounds of being perfect. And I understand that that is a big thing when it comes to his game plan. A bit like when he was against Ortiz, he's just waiting, he's prepared to give away rounds because he knows that within a couple of seconds he can have his man on the deck. So power definitely with Wilder in this fight. Speed, I think obviously Wilder's going to be the lighter man, and again speed will be with Wilder. Fury is fast, especially with his head movement, but I definitely think that the speed is Wilder, an attribute that Wilder is going to be faster than Fury. So Fury has got to be his elusive best. Then we come on to skill. Tyson Fury is an excellent boxer. especially given his massive height and his weight as well. You can't believe that such a big guy can box the way he does. And I think it's fair to say that Wilder is limited when it comes to his boxing skills, and he does rely on that one-punch KO. I know he's got Malik Scott in there, and they're trying new stuff. I think he might improve a little, but I think that Tyson Fury has been a natural, better boxer all of his life, and trying to sort of catch that up at this stage for Wilder is going to be a bit of a stretch. Let's talk about that size. So when I was talking about skill, I was going with Fury. I think he's the better boxer. Size, you've got 6'9" Tyson Fury against the 6'7" Deontay Wilder. Reach, 85 inches for Fury, 83 inches for Wilder. So again, there's not much in that there. In terms of weight though, around 257, 260 pounds for Fury. That is massive. And then about 220 pounds for Wilder. That's a big weight difference. And in the second fight, Fury really did use that weight advantage, same as he did when he fought Steve Cunningham. Steve Cunningham, of course, had him down, but as soon as he got up, he just roughed him up. And the way for Fury to win this fight is the same way, really, is to use that power, that size, lean on his man, rough him up. Wilder's not used to that. And see how that goes, but I think that is a definite tick in the box when it comes to size for Fury. Okay, let's have a look at experience. The bronze medalist Deontay Wilder, I would say that they had very similar sort of amateur careers, except for the fact that Deontay Wilder got a bronze medal. When it comes to the pro career, you have got Tyson Fury. He's had 31 fights, 30 wins, no losses, and of course that one draw against Wilder. And then in 44 fights, you've got 42 wins for Wilder. You've got one loss and one draw. When it comes to KOs, you know, people say that Fury can't punch. A 6'9" man who is the size that weight that Fury is, 260 pounds. He's still going to have power, even though he's not like a Mike Tyson one-punch knockout expert. He still has 21 KOs on his record. So these people that say he can't punch, that's totally wrong. But of course, the massive 41 KOs of Wilder is, you know, that's just electrifying when it comes to knockout ratio. So experience, I think, when you look at the people that they fought, I think Fury in his professional career has fought the better opposition. A lot of the names on Wilder's sort of resume have not been great. Even when he was sort of against Bermain Stavern and you know, your Brazils of this world, you know, they're not top class boxers. Okay, so let's have a look at who fought the better opposition. Fury, Klitschko, he's fought Chisora twice, and he's fought Steve Cunningham, a former IBF cruiserweight champion. And then you look at Wilder, he's fought Fury twice. I would say that's his best sort of opposition. He's also fought Ortiz twice, but how old is Ortiz? And Ortiz, in my opinion, has never really done what people thought he was going to do in the pro ranks. Maybe down to the fact that he's so old. I know he puts himself down in a certain age bracket. I think he's much older than that. Okay, so for better opposition, I think that is Fury. Chin, I think they've both been sort of down. They've both been wobbled. I'd give a bit of a tick to both in terms of pretty equal when it comes to, can these guys be hurt? Can these guys be knocked down? I think they both can. And that adds to the excitement of this fight. Heart. I think Fury, I think his heart, to come from behind against opposition, to get up from the canvas the way that he did in Wilder 1, you really do need to nail him to the canvas. And so heart, I think that Fury, ticking the box for Fury over Wilder. I don't think Wilder's actually been tested heart-wise that many times. I think he was tested in Fury Wilder 2. And yet he didn't want to be stopped. He was stopped for his own benefit by Mark Breland, but even to this day he is still saying that he wanted to go out on his shield. He may have been damaged irreparably if that had happened. So he's fighting again, he lives to fight another day, and this is this fight coming up this weekend. So heart, I'm going Fury. Stamina, who does the 12 rounds better? I would say, I think Fury does the 12 rounds better in terms of he's more active and trying to win more rounds. I think Wilder does give away many, many rounds because he knows at some point he is going to be able to catch up with most people. And I do say most people because I think that Fury in the last fight obviously used totally different tactics, and it was a totally different fight for Wilder. So stamina, I'll give that for Fury. Last three opponents. Okay, so Wilder, which obviously was a win for Fury, TKO. Otto Wallin and Tom Schwartz was the other two that was before for Fury. And then when it comes to Wilder, it was the Fury loss. Luis Ortiz, which he won by KO, spectacular KO. And then Brazil, again, he won by a KO. Again, so last three opponents sort of spread for both of them over 2019 and 2020. Obviously, the pandemic has caused this fight to be delayed massively. Other factors. Fury, he can change his style. He can fight rough if he wants to. He can adapt as the fight goes on. He can even fight southpaw. He can fight with his hands up. He can fight with his hands down. I do think he is the superior boxer. Then another factors for Wilder, revenge. After all the excuses, Wilder genuinely believes that he was cheated in not only the second fight, but in the first. And I think that's going to be a massive motivating factor for revenge. He's got Malik Scott on board as his new trainer, so he has changed things up in his camp, and he obviously feels more comfortable with Malik Scott. Jay Diaz has took a bit of a backward step when it comes to his position in the camp. It'll be very interesting to see who is the person checking the gloves in Fury's corner, in Fury's dressing room. Will it be Jay Diaz or will it be Malik Scott? So I think when it comes to my prediction, there's two here, and I'm not going to go one side or the other. I am going to give two predictions which is going to end in the same result, and that is a Fury win. Now, this is how I see it. I think he will either dominate in an even more spectacular fashion than he did in the second one. So I'm thinking maybe he stops him or KOs him in round 5, around round 5. Or my other prediction is a prediction that I desperately don't want to happen, and that is that Wilder does something ridiculous, so illegal, that he gets disqualified and maybe gets arrested. I really do think from some of the rhetoric that is coming from him and from Malik Scott, they really do see this as a personal revenge attack, and I don't know what it will be. I think it may be on the same level as Mike Tyson biting Evander Holyfield's ear when he took a chunk out of his ear. I don't think it will be that, but I think it will be something equally horrific and shocking, and I hope that Wilder doesn't go down that route, because I think it'll be terrible for the sport of boxing. It'll be terrible for him as well. I think with all the excuses that have been brought up, not only by his fan channels but by him himself, I think that we're at a stage now where this guy could be the most embarrassing heavyweight champion that boxing has ever had. In this country, David Haye, when he lost to Vladimir Klitschko, stood on the table and pointed out his little toe as an excuse for the loss, and he was lambasted by British fans and fans around the world for that excuse. When it comes to excuses, Wilder has taken it to a whole different level, continually coming out with ridiculous excuses. Not only one like David Haye did, but I think we're probably above 10 different excuses for the reason why he lost. I think that Wilder could take a massive page out of Anthony Joshua's book and look at how Anthony Joshua took his defeat to Ruiz and took his recent defeat to Usyk. He really, I'm sure that there was injuries and things that was going on in the background for AJ, but he really handled himself with aplomb. He was superb, a real sort of gallant loser, and he can come again. Wilder, I think, you know, if he loses this time and starts coming out with excuses again, I mean, dear me, it's so embarrassing at this point. So I think Fury win by KO, stops him by or in round 5, or we've got the nightmare scenario that Wilder totally loses his head and goes in there to do something shocking, something illegal, and something that shouldn't be seen in a boxing ring or in any sporting arena. I hope that I am wrong on that. I hope that he is going to try and beat him fair and square. Obviously, he still feels some of these excuses are in his head, are real and valid. I can see he's delusional at this point, and he's supported by a fan base that equally are delusional, because at the end of the day, you know, some of the stuff that he said, I mean, putting an egg weight in his glove, for example, you know, which would cause the dent on Deontay's head, which, by the way, has disappeared. The dent has disappeared, so that's a miracle. And also, you know, Fury's magician-like ability to have an egg weight that causes a dent, but also that the egg weight disappears when he's throwing multiple right hands to the same head. You know, it's David Copperfield type magic that he would have pulled off there, to have had an egg weight for one blow, but to have removed the egg weight without anyone seeing inside the small fight glove. And you know, he could have produced a rabbit out of the hat, or made an elephant disappear more easy than to do that. So I hope you enjoyed that. That's my prediction. So hope you enjoyed that. Please like and subscribe to Fit to Box channel, and I shall speak to you soon.